just search for it. Password. Do one. And then it should be alphabetical. So scroll. Not in there. You want to reset it?
Yeah. So I go back to where I was at. Maybe.
So it'll send an email to you. So however you get your email.
Mm-hmm. You're doing it?
handy6@aol.com.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So you should have an email now. Click your email app. Here you go.
Alright, so
Click on it. Reset your password. So I need to do the same thing with Linda. I need to send her an email like that to her email, and she needs to create a password.
So the ones that are hold are probably.
so any password, huh?
Okay.
So that means that they didn't even finish.
You just need to remember it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna send one to Linda.
Okay.
Yeah, they probably didn't realize they had product on hold. They had product on hold and they didn't finish. Let me know and I'll step out and I'll call you back, but if they're still working on it, that's why you haven't received the catch weights for it yet.
Yeah, they do a good job.
Yes.
Yeah, you should have, what is it, Abdu and then one of those supervisors, Calvin or something in there. Matt's here, so ask Matt to take a look at selection.
Oh, and I got a new phone.
It's been released, and other than that, just make sure he's.
I got rid of that arcade
Nice.
piece of junk.
Okay, once he finishes the route, then the catch weights will come across. But if he has orders that are on hold, it's not completely finished, and that's why you don't have the catch weights yet. No problem. Thank you, ma'am. Bye.
Morning.
Good morning, Charity.
Morning, sorry.
Good, good. How you doing?
Busy as always. I should say it's better than it used to be.
Hey, morning. What's going on?
Morning, good people.
Mike, good morning. How you doing?
All right.
Well, I don't know if I can in the church or what.
Yeah.
Good morning.
Hey, brother.
Gail says to get this for our kids.
Oh, I just telling you to get it.
I don't know what it is or who it's from. Maybe we ordered that book so we could look at it today.
Oh, yeah.
Because I think they wanted everybody to help.
It's a book.
take it down.
That, how do I word this? It makes more sense to me reading it. Like when I read it, I'm like, man, that makes sense. But when I stand up here and teach it, I'm not gonna just like read the book.
Word
So
for
like,
it, yeah.
I have to figure out how to teach what he's saying.
No. Yeah.
So I'm always afraid that there's like some kind of like there's loss in communication kind of where like I'm trying to get across what he's saying.
It's not very thick. I thought it would be a thicker
It's
book.
not. Well, it's pretty short.
What's the name of it?
In the beginning, life lessons from Genesis. From Justin Rogers, he's a professor at Freed-Hardeman. I like everything he does, pretty much. He's very intelligent. Way more than me sometimes, you know, not sometimes, all the time, but he has like a doctorate degree in like Hebrew language, and he's only my age.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
And what is John Paul? He knows Latin or what?
My brother?
Yeah,
Well, he can translate. He can read Greek.
Greek. 'Cause
Yeah.
He told me he really studied it.
He took Hebrew, but my brother, when he goes to like worship, he carries a English Bible and a Greek Bible with him.
Wow.
So if he's not preaching, he'll sit with his Greek Bible, and he'll follow along with you in his Greek Bible.
Oh my goodness.
'Cause he's too smart for his own good. A little show off.
Yeah. Spoken like a brother.
Ugh. But he's awesome. He's about to graduate with his doctorate in
Oh, is he?
December. Yeah,
I know you said he went back to school.
Dr. John Paul Gulledge. Yeah, he's going to Harding right now.
What city is Harding in?
Cersei.
It's
It's in Searcy, Arkansas.
It's north of Little Rock.
But where
right?
he was, they used to have a location in Memphis, but then they just recently relocated it from Memphis back. It was like
a
the
satellite campus or something? Or
no, it was like their probably their doctorate program,
Oh,
or
okay.
it was something more like of an upper up
Gotcha.
in
Gotcha.
Memphis, and then they relocated it back to
Yeah.
Searcy. So now it's all in Searcy.
Okay, you told me the answer to my question, but then everybody started talking and it went out of my mind. So would you tell me the name of the book again?
There you go. I'll just look at it. Yeah.
You can get it in Amazon, but it takes.
Good morning. How you doing?
Yeah, Mike, we ordered on Amazon, but it took a couple weeks to get it.
Okay.
You good?
Yes, thank you.
Good morning.
I know why.
I have used that joke a couple of different times. I did it when I was introducing David Garner. When he first used
Am I reading this right? $75.29?
No.
I don't know where you're ordering it from. Well, it's like,
Amazon. See it?
I mean, you are reading that right, but I wouldn't.
We paid 20, I think, for ours.
Yeah, I wouldn't order it from Amazon if they're charging that.
Yeah, my goodness.
It should be from, where'd y'all order this from?
Where'd you order it from?
There should be like a Christian bookstore, like, you
Oh,
ordered yours from Amazon?
Yeah, but you click on the new and use is what you gotta click on.
Okay.
Let's see. So we got,
Let me see.
It's trying to connect.
Welcome back, Connie. Thank you. You awake? Yes, sir. How late did you get through,
It's trying to. Sometimes you can get a slightly used one that's
Yeah.
not much at all.
yeah.
It's just, it's been opened from the package. or something.
Yeah.
Well, I would too, I just let her talk.
Come on in.
Good morning, good morning.
Hey.
Got you up on this. It is Genesis.
Hey,
I
okay.
just came and we had a-
Appreciate it.
Good morning, good morning. How are
Good
you?
morning.
How are
Good
you?
morning.
Good, how are you?
Is that what we paid? David, 1759 is what we paid.
Okay.
That was awful.
So do from paperback, and it says from 1536.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. I see it. 1536 is a lot better than everything.
$70 seems kinda high for that little book.
Yeah.
I got this one. It's used.
Then it says you can get a new one for $15.36 or a used one for $19. I'll take the new one. Hey, Brent.
Thank you. What's up, Mitch?
Hey, how you doing?
I'm good, man. How are you?
Good, good. Glad to be.
I don't know if I want to close this door. It gets hot in here. I also don't want to be loud and people hear me. Tell them to turn the air on. Well, does this room even have airflow?
It's that vent.
Is that the
right
vent?
there. Yeah,
Okay.
that's
Yeah.
the return right there.
All right, well, I'm gonna leave it open for now. I'm gonna try to talk a little bit, if I can maintain, I guess, this level. It's not too loud. I think even when that door closed, they can. I mean, I can hear Greg right now. He might have his door open.
He does, he's leaving it open. It's
Right.
just so dark in the hall.
Well, I'm gonna go ahead and close it then if he has his open. If I get too hot, I'll open it. We'll be in lesson 6. Let's see how close we got today.
Whoa, let me get that.
We're in lesson 6, going through our book. Several of you have asked about the book, and some have mentioned that you ordered it. It's this little book right here. When we started this class, I mentioned that each quarter we want to try to keep the different classes different by studying a text, a topic. That's kind of really your two main categories. You have a textual class and a topical class. You can mix it up by doing maybe like a historical class or something like that. But we have a ladies class, so that's different, and they can do whatever they want to study. But as far as the two classes down here, we have a topical class, Ray, but Greg's teaching this morning for Ray. But Ray's been teaching a book entitled Consider One Another. And it's just about being kind and generous and patient, just all the good things that we should be towards each other. And so that's his class. This class is somewhat of a textual study, except it's not. It is from the book of Genesis, but it's more lessons that we learn from Genesis, being the first book in the Bible. It's written by Justin Rogers. It's a really small book, and he's just going through the book of Genesis. Now, obviously, we're not going through every chapter because we only have 13 weeks, and Genesis is, I think, 39 chapters. So it's not going through every chapter, but kind of chapter by chapter and section by section. What do we learn from the book of Genesis? And we've considered several lessons. We've looked at the creator of the universe, Genesis chapter 1. In the beginning was God. There he is. We're not even told a lot about him. If anything, we're just introduced to him and then what he did. In the beginning was God. We looked at creation. We looked at Satan in the garden and how he tempted Eve and the introduction of sin into the world. And we've looked at Cain and Abel. And we looked at Noah last week, staying afloat in a flood of evil, I think was the title of the chapter. Just looking at Noah's example as, there's only two people in Scripture that are described as walking with God. Now, that doesn't mean that there's only two that walked with God, but there's only two that are described in Scripture when it talks about them. There's only two in the Old Testament, well, New and Old, but they're in the Old, and they're actually back-to-back chapters in the book of Genesis. And they are a great-grandfather and, what would you say then? So it's a great-grandfather and his great-grandson. So it's Enoch who walked with God, Genesis chapter 5, I think 24. Enoch walked with God. And then he gave birth, his wife, so he had a son, Methuselah, who was the oldest man to ever live. Then Methuselah had a son, Lamech, and then Lamech was the father of Noah. So the great-grandfather of Noah walked with God. But Noah is also described as walking with God. And so you have Genesis 5 and Genesis 6. So we spent time talking about Noah, how he was righteous and his family was righteous in a world that was so full of evil. And so that was Genesis 6, 7, and 8. Well, if we go to Genesis 9, I didn't put that on the board. If we go to Genesis 9, we have Noah, who, not his brightest moment, not his best moment. But what can we learn from it, right? We go to Genesis 9, and Noah becomes drunk. And what it meant to his family, how it changed his family dynamic, just as a result of what his sons did, how they responded to his drunkenness. Now, a little disclaimer here before we get into the class. I'm going to really try to avoid turning this class into a study of alcohol. This is not is a glass of wine at dinner okay discussion. This is not how much is too much discussion. This is not does the Bible condemn alcohol discussion. This is the dangers of drunkenness. Because I think we would all agree, certainly because it's in Scripture, that drunkenness is a sin. And as we look at some scriptures, we'll go to Ephesians and Galatians, and we'll look at verses condemning drunkenness. And that's usually one of the arguments by even Christians at times that, well, it's not a sin to drink alcohol, it's just a sin to be drunk. Well, then that would be one of the counter-arguments. Well, what is drunk? Are you only drunk if you're so drunk that you can't remember what you did and you wake up with a hangover? If you get to that point, is that drunkenness? Or does it happen way before that? So I know there's a lot of arguments. But like I said, before we get into the class, this is not a study on alcohol or alcohol consumption. It is just learning about the dangers of drunkenness. Now, even with that said, to talk about getting drunk, you have to talk about even consuming alcohol in the first place. And so there will be a little bit of it. But we're going to learn from Genesis 9, and Noah became drunk. Let's begin by reading the text. Genesis 9. It's not all of chapter 9. Let's jump forward to verse 18. Continue reading verse 18 and following. Now the sons of Noah, who went out of the ark, were Shem, Ham, and Japheth, and Ham was the father of Canaan. These three were the sons of Noah, and from these the whole earth were populated. And Noah began to be a farmer and planted a vineyard. Then he drank of the wine and was drunk, and became uncovered in his tent. And Ham, the father of Canaan, saw the nakedness of his father and told his two brothers outside. But Shem and Japheth, reacting very differently, they took a garment, They laid it on both of their shoulders. They went backward and covered the nakedness of their father. Their faces were turned away, and they did not see their father's nakedness. So Noah awoke from his wine and knew what his younger son had done to him. Then he said, "Cursed be Canaan," who was the son of Ham. "Cursed be Canaan, a servant of servants he shall be to his brethren. Blessed be the Lord, the God of Shem, and may Canaan be his servant. May God enlarge Japheth, and may he dwell in the tents of Shem. And may Canaan be his servant." And Noah lived after the flood 350 years. So all the days of Noah were 950 years, and he died. I mean, Methuselah might be the oldest, 969, but 19 years shy is Noah here. 950 years, and he died. Can you imagine?
Noah might have had the most miles.
Noah might, yeah. He
definitely saw some stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. But can you imagine almost living 1,000 years?
I would think life would be moving a lot slower then too. Like, you're not like traveling to other countries and stuff. You know, you're just
you're just.
When are you considered a senior citizen if you live now?
when do you get the discounts at
When you
the
start
restaurants and
getting
stuff?
It's a senior discipline.
I put a lot of businesses under it.
Man.
By that time, they'd be paying you to eat there.
And, you know, I mean, we're lucky. Sometimes we think about living 100 years. And I remember a gentleman growing up. He was a member of the church, and I think he died a month after turning 100. And I just remember him very vividly. His name was C.Y. Blakeney, and he was just a figure, just kind of a giant there in the congregation of Mableville. And I just remember him. He did a lot of woodworking. He whittled and just carved things with wood and did walking sticks and would gift it to people. Just a very interesting old man. And I remember him talking about he was like 10 years old when the Titanic sank. And just remember some of his stories. I remember visiting him in the assisted living with my dad. We would go visit him, and he was one of those guys. He was an elder in the church at one time, and just studied his Bible all the time. Anyway, he died, I think, a month after turning 100 years old. So we think about 100, man. Oh, to live 100, to be 100 years old, to be 1,000 almost, 950 years. Wow. All right, we're getting on topic. Here's the outline I want to follow. This is the outline that's in the book. He just walks through some of these points. We're talking about the dangers of drunkenness. So here's the outline of the book that I want to walk through, but I also have some notes from my dad. And if we have time, I kind of want to go back and forth. I hope I don't get confused or confuse you. But before we even get to that, let's read 2 verses at least. One is in Galatians 5, the other is in Ephesians 5. So let's go to Galatians first, just because it is before Ephesians. So let's go in order as they are in your Bible. So Galatians 5, again, talking about the dangers of drunkenness, not is it okay to even drink one glass? Just drunkenness, the dangers of it. So in Galatians 5, beginning in verse 16, we will have a contrast between the works of the flesh and the fruit of the Spirit. And one of the works of the flesh, if we drop down to verse 19, now the works of the flesh are evident, which are adultery, fornication, uncleanness, lewdness, idolatry, sorcery, hatred, contentions, jealousies, outbursts of wrath, selfish ambitions, dissensions, heresies, envy, murders, drunkenness, revelries, and the like. What do you think that phrase, "and the like," means? 3 little words.
Anything of that sort.
Yeah, this is not an extensive list. But anything that is like it, anything that is similar to it, anything that can be associated with being like this list. We are to avoid. They are the works of the flesh. And then you'll have the fruit of the Spirit. But then we jump over to Ephesians 5. Easy to remember. You have chapter 5 in Galatians and Ephesians. So the Bible that I carry with me, my red Bible that I preach from, teach from most of the time, it's New King James. So I'm going to read it from New King James. But it uses a word that we don't use in common language today. So then I have another translation that I'll read. And if you have a different translation, you can read it, let us know. Ephesians 5, 18. And do not be drunk with wine, in which is dissipation, but be filled with the Spirit. Well, what does that word mean, dissipation? Well, maybe you do know what it means, and that's fine. But again, it's just not part of everyday language for us. So Christian Standard Bible, which I like that translation a lot, says, and do not get drunk with wine, which leads to reckless living. Makes a lot of sense, doesn't it? Anybody have something else? Let me see. I'm going to check the ESV.
Says for that is debauchery.
Debauchery, yeah. Again, another word. I mean, when's the last time, Cliff, you've used the word debauchery? You should use it tomorrow at work and just see what your coworkers or employees say. Anybody have NIV? It uses debauchery too, which leads to debauchery, reckless living. But we understand that, right? The American Standard it takes out that word and just uses a comparison between drunk with wine and filled with the Spirit. So the American Standard, which I know is popular and a lot of people have, says, and do not be drunken with wine, wherein is not, but be filled with the Spirit. So don't be drunk with wine, but be filled with the Spirit.
So could you say dissipation, right? To dissipate is to water down, to disappear. So, I mean, could you literally say, do not be drunk with wine, in which dissipation, but be filled with the Spirit, saying that the Spirit is being dissipated?
Oh, yeah. Could be. Because one of the fruit of the Spirit is self-control. And so when someone gets to the point where they're drunk, they've obviously lost self-control. But they've lost self-control to get to that point. But even when they are drunk, there's no self-control. Nobody has self-control being drunk. And so it would seem to be like, to your point, your question, that when we are drunk, filled with wine, drunk, that we have watered down the Spirit. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah,
being led
absolutely.
by the Spirit.
Absolutely.
Having control of our senses, our emotions, being able to have self-control at all.
Your inhibitions take over.
A fruit of the Spirit, yeah.
You act on your inhibitions. It's terrible.
Yeah. What you got, brother?
Proverbs 20, verse 1 says, wine is a mocker, strong drink is raging, and whosoever is deceived thereby is not wise.
Yeah. Sure. Proverbs 20, verse 1.
Yes.
It's a mocker. Whoever is deceived by it. Okay. Let's get to this outline. Like I said, we really are trying to just show the dangers of drunkenness as we look at Noah. Now, Justin Rogers and even my dad made a comment in their lesson that it just seems as though Noah was not in a position to know the effects of alcohol. And he learned, so we don't have a record of him doing it again, but he did it this time and learned, and he produced vineyards, and he gathered the fruit and he got the grape juice from it, and it obviously fermented, and he drank it enough to get drunk. But we will talk about alcohol and biblical culture because one of the best arguments that I've ever heard about consuming alcohol today is that we cannot compare it to alcohol in that day because it's very different. It's very, very different. And we'll talk about that when we get there. But let's look at the facts. And for this part, I do have to read Justin Rogers because, I'm just reading the facts that he included in his study. He does cite all of the facts, Now, the book's a little bit old. It might be a couple of years old. And so maybe some of this has changed a little bit. But even with the statistics that it's about 10 years old, the book. So the numbers might be a little bit higher, but even as he's presented these facts, it's still pretty staggering just to think about drunkenness. A look at the facts. He says excessive alcohol consumption leads to, and this is a fact, this is not a biblical, this is just facts, approximately 88,000 deaths each year in the U.S. I can believe that, right? People get drunk and they lose that self-control and someone dies as a result of it, right? 88,000 deaths in the U.S. By contrast, he says cocaine, which this number may be higher, only kills about 10,000 people in the U.S. each year. 88,000 to 10,000. All right, I'm skipping some of this that he says. Alcohol factors into approximately 31%, so more than a quarter, of traffic-related deaths each year. In fact, excessive alcohol use is the third leading lifestyle-related cause of death in the U.S. It is the third leading lifestyle-related cause of death in the U.S. We're talking about the dangers here. These are true dangers. I can tell you of a family, and you wouldn't know them, so I can tell you their name. Jason Bayless and his wife, Ginger Bayless. Ginger Bayless and Jason Bayless. We call Jason Cornbread. And I grew up going to camp with them. And he's a deacon in the church down in Mississippi. And they have 3 girls. I think one's in college now. But about 20 years ago, a drunk driver ran a red light, T-boned their SUV, and killed their 2-year-old son. Woodson's 2, and I hate saying that, but just to put that image out there. But killed their 2-year-old son. And now on the back of their vehicles, they have a bumper sticker that says, "A drunk driver killed my son." And I mean, we're looking at statistics here. It's part of the statistics, and it's hard to deal with. According to the National Council of Alcoholism and Drug Dependence, alcohol is a factor in 40% of all violent crimes today, including 37% of rapes and sexual assaults. It makes sense, right? Someone gets drunk, they lose self-control, they're not thinking right, they get aggressive, angry, and they lash out in violence. How many people have been murdered or raped because someone was drunk? One of the things that just really boils my blood and Kristen's blood is when you go to a restaurant, and this happens most of the time at Mexican restaurants.
You see them drink like 3 margaritas and then get in the car and drive home?
Well,
Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, but
Yeah.
if you look at like a couple, a husband and wife, and they're both drinking, and you're just like, well, who's the designated driver?
Who's gonna watch the
Like
kids when they
if
get
one
home?
of you wants to drink, I'm not here to argue with you, but when I see you as a father, when I see you both drinking, and I know that someone at that table has to drive, yeah, and then they go and they get in a vehicle, and it probably happens so often that it's scary. It makes me as a father nervous to let my boys be out there driving on holidays or anything like that. Now I know why my parents were so, concerned when I didn't show up at curfew, all that kind of stuff. Anyway, continue looking at the facts here. According to the National Institute of Alcohol Abuse and Alcoholism, more than 50% of teens have taken at least one drink by age 15. By age 18, more than 70% of teens have had at least one drink, more than half of teenagers. It is staggering to note that young people between the ages of 12 and 20 years old account for 11% of the alcohol consumed in the U.S. each year. He says, to conclude, that the alcohol culture in our country is growing worse and worse, and the collateral damage is only growing more apparent.
You know what's funny to hear you say that? They literally just had a big thing on the news about how drinking has gone down like 30%
Okay.
because
Really?
of not so much because of being drunk, just because of the negative. Like you see how many people have like diabetes, type 1 or type 2 diabetes, and what alcohol does to people with diabetes.
Really?
But you're seeing, it's funny. It's not funny. It's interesting that you said that. And then I literally 2 days ago, 30%. They said it's gone down 30%.
You know, there are a lot of cultural shifts in our country right now, which is interesting to see. I've been seeing a lot of stuff about just religion, where at one point religion was really going down, Christianity specifically, not just religion, but Christianity. You know, a lot of churches were shrinking, and we were in this point where, you know, people do all this research. You have like the Pew Research and they do all these polls and research and they come out with all these numbers and statistics and yeah, church attendance has been declining for years and divorce rates are up and all this. But recently, within a year or so, it's kind of changing.
Well,
where a lot of young people are going back to church. And so just to couple it with what you're saying, maybe some of the young people are changing. I don't know.
So
just interesting.
Yeah, but just to make sure so basically what it was saying how all these huge conglomerates like Anheuser-Busch,
Yeah.
like they're stopping, like they're going out of business. Like they're literally shutting down
Interesting.
lines of beers and everything because nobody's buying them anymore.
Interesting, yeah.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
I think that, like, politically too, like, things got so, you know, it's like, oh, you choose your gender, all this, and now I think younger generations are like, that's stupid, y'all are insane, and hopefully it's shifting the other way now.
Yeah, maybe we've got to a point where all of this is just...
Did we get too extreme?
Yeah.
I'm hoping so.
It's so utterly crazy that just common sense is like, okay, we gotta...
And you see that, like, on
Bring it
social
back.
media and stuff, people are like, that's stupid, you know?
Yeah.
I think something else that's happening is I think people are literally getting scared. Like there's like if you look around and you look at the stupidity, for lack of a better term, and the non-common sense, and the only way back to center is going back to church and clearing your head of all this noise that's coming from all these people that all they're trying to do is literally they do anything and say anything to discredit the church. They do that all the time. They do that, especially Christianity. They do it all the time. You know, I mean, you know, I'm not against Muslims or anything, but if you look at it's completely 180 out of Christianity, and they're like they protect the rights of, you know, like does there really have to be a discussion about whether Sharia law should be allowed in America? It's like, are you out of your mind? You know what I'm saying? It's like that, and people. I think that type of stuff is what's scaring people and is bringing it back to the church because everything else they've tried, voting, protesting, it doesn't work. It doesn't work. You gotta go back to the beginning. What made this country? What was the start of the United States? You know, you look at anybody that goes to the Constitution. They say that is a big proponent of the. They talk about, you know, inalienable rights given to you by the Creator.
One nation under God.
Who's the Creator? It's like, so anybody that says that, it all started when they said the United States is not a Christian nation anymore. It all started with that, and that's the quick. And they want to take God out of everything. I'm sorry, I'll go on a tangent. It just, but I think it's self-correcting. I think it's starting to happen that way.
Hopefully so.
Because I think people are scared of what the future holds if you don't fix it.
Yeah.
Especially with the youth.
Yeah. I mean, even as a father, I'm scared if things don't correct.
Hmm?
You know, just when I'm gone and my boys, you know, I don't know what kind of life they'll live when I'm gone, but I don't want them to live in a world that the trajectory that I can see, just people really, really hating religious people, Christians. I mean, some of the things that people say out there that I've seen videos of, I mean, it's so unsettling, the hatred that people do have for Christians out there. And it seems to be getting worse and worse, just to you know, thinking about our conversation. It seems to be getting worse and worse, and just to think about them growing up and living in a world like that, where we used to live in a world where even if you weren't religious, like, you were at least kind to each other. Maybe
most people's morals were
you were moral.
based on things that you could find in the Bible.
Yeah, but now it's like, man, Anyway, we gotta get back to topic here.
No, I was just gonna say that, Scripture tells us there's nothing new under the sun.
Yeah, nothing new,
And
yeah.
so, what's going on now is something that's happened in the past,
Sure.
and that's the thing that led to Jesus' death.
Sure, yeah, that's true. That's true. Good point. All right, hey, look at the facts. I think we can all agree. We step outside of Scripture and we just look at the facts. Look at the deaths. Look at the crime. Look at the violence. Look at the world we live in. And you just see what happens when people get drunk and the dangers that follow. I can tell you a story just very quickly, and I've told the congregation here before, but I'll just reintroduce you to a man and his story. His name's Brian Lamar, and he was a member at Gulf Shores when we lived there, but he's currently moved his membership to another congregation there. But anyway, he used to be a drunk, and he'll tell you that. He's not shy to tell you his past. He will tell you openly that he used to be a drunk so bad that Angel, his wife, was so patient with him. But Angel will tell you, huh?
Aptly named.
Yeah, for sure, yeah. She was Brian's angel, but Angel will tell you that there were nights, and they have 3 kids. They have a daughter and 2 boys, and they're all grown with kids. So Brian and Angel are grandparents now, but anyway, she'll tell you that growing up with the kids, she had to put the kids to bed by herself, and then she laid in bed every night because Brian was out. She didn't know where he was. She didn't know if he was alive. She knew that he was probably drunk because he would come home drunk. And she said just year after year, she just got used to the kids growing up, going to bed without him home because he was out drunk somewhere, until he obeyed the gospel. And then whatever led to that, I'm not sure about all the details. He obeyed the gospel and complete 180. When we talk about repentance, when we talk about changing your life, putting off the old man, putting on the new, Brian is an excellent example of when he obeyed the gospel, he's never taken another drink of alcohol. And so, the dangers of it. Let's look at the facts. Briefly, let's just reconsider Noah's drunkenness, just the text that we read, Genesis chapter 9, that he was a farmer, he planted a vineyard, and it seems as though he has taken the juice from the grapes, and it has fermented over time, and he has drank enough that he is now drunk. And it leads to this situation where he is uncovered in his tent. He is obviously drunk. He's in his tent. He has lost control of himself, and he's naked. He's in his tent. Now, there's this interesting situation where Ham actually comes into the tent, and he saw his father's nakedness. And there's not a lot of detail here. I tried to actually do a little bit of research yesterday, try to learn a little bit more why Noah, when he came to, he actually, curse is not the right word, but he does not bless the descendants of Ham, his son Canaan. He does not bless them. He actually says that they will be servants of the other 2 brothers. Because it seems as though Ham, seeing his father in this condition, doesn't do anything to help his father. Like the other 2. When the other 2 heard about it, they immediately tried to resolve the situation. They take a cloak, they walk backwards with their heads turned away so that they do not look at their father's nakedness, and they cover him up. Ham didn't do that. And so we don't know a lot of the other details what Ham did. Maybe there was something that maybe there was something else with Ham when he went and told his brothers. Maybe he mocked it. Maybe he said something that was just very different than the other 2. And so you have this whole thing in Genesis 9 of Noah being drunk and his brothers clothing him, and then he blesses the other 2 brothers and not the descendants of Cain or Ham. And then we just have that he lived 950 years and he died. But let's talk for just a moment, and this is where we will bring in a little bit of, what does the Bible say about alcohol? But there is something to understand about alcohol in biblical culture. It is not the same as today. And this is probably the best argument I've ever heard about alcohol, because there's a lot of people, a lot of Christians even, that will use the Bible to justify drinking alcohol. And there's a big difference between now and then. And there's a lot of things to consider. In fact, the first time that I heard some of the stuff that we're about to talk about was I'm on the board of a youth event called Gulf Youth Experience. And it's every January. So this year I was there and Matt was there. He took Landon. And so I'll be there in January again. But one of our board members is currently working on his master's degree from Freed-Hardeman. And so we, as a board, there's about 9 of us on the board, and we were eating breakfast, and this came up. I don't know what came up or why it came up, but it came up. And Tucker, who's the board member, who wrote a paper on all of this, he said, oh, well, I wrote a paper, and he starts explaining the paper. And he went into a lot of this information that we're about to talk about, the difference in